What is going on, guys? Marcus here with the Reformation Woodshop. For the past few years, I've been working in a production cabinet shop, and what that means is we make cabinets on a large scale. We're building around 3 houses worth of cabinets a week, but in my kitchen, I have 0 cabinets made by my hands. Actually, if I'm being completely honest, the cabinets that are made not by my hands that are in my kitchen suck. In this video, I'm going to be ripping out my old island and replacing it with a brand new shaker style island. And the plan is for this to be the start of a full kitchen remodel. So if you're interested in stuff like that, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. So just to give you a look at what we're working with here, this island is going to be a 2-piece island with 2 panels closing up the sides. The back side is a bookcase for extra storage because we have little to none in our house. And the front side is going to be 24 inches deep with doors and drawers on it. So just keep that in mind as this project starts. It's going to seem like we're building 2 separate cabinets. The first thing I do when starting any cabinet build is rip up material for the face frame. I'm using poplar, and most of the rips that I'm going to be needing are 2 inches. After I've ripped all of my materials, I cut them to length on the miter saw, and then I head over to the Reformation to get all of my pocket holes ready to go. As I start screwing things together here, you'll start to see this thing take shape. All of the rails, or the horizontal pieces that make up the face frame, are 2 inches, and the stiles, which are the vertical pieces, are 3 inches because they're legs that go all the way down to the floor. After I've built a face frame for the 24-inch side, I head back to the table saw and start ripping the plywood material that's going to make up the boxes of the cabinet. I will be using glue and staples to join all this stuff together, but on top of that, we're going back to the Reformation, and I'm going to add pocket holes to every piece of this because it's going to be the strongest island you've ever seen in your life. The side walls of this portion of the cabinet are 34.5 inches tall, and I went down to the bottom of that leg, measured 5.25 inches up, and that's where I'm going to secure the deck because it's a 3/4 inch piece of wood, which means that it'll surface at 6 inches, which is exactly where I want the deck to be of this cabinet. I tack a few staples into the side, and then I drive all of my pocket hole screws in to make sure it's very, very secure. After that, I'm using brace material, which is cut at 1 3/4 inches. I tag 1 on the bottom of the deck, 2 in the top area for extra rigidity, and 1 more up top on the front, so that when I bring the face frame in, I'll have something to tag into there. After all the braces are in, I need to add a divider for this bank of drawers, and that's just a piece of 3/4 inch plywood with the same rip as the sides of the cabinet, but it doesn't go all the way up to the top of the cabinet, it just goes as high as the bank of drawers. After I've driven my pocket hole screws into my face frame, I can add that front kick, again using pocket hole screws. That just sits 3 inches back off the front of the face frame. Before sanding, I'm going to putty all of the seams and all of the staple holes. That way the paint job will be impeccable. Now that the 24-inch side is done, we're going to move on to the 12-inch side, which is the back bookcase portion of this island. So we head back to the table saw and start ripping up that material. Same process as before, we're going to cut it to length. The only thing that's different this time is we're going to take it to the hole boring machine and drill some shelf holes because we're going to have movable shelves in that storage area. Just like before, the deck will sit at the exact same space because we want it to be at that 6-inch surface where the face frame is pre-planned to be. We'll do that bottom brace, 2 top braces, and that front top brace, just like before. After that, lots of glue, staples, putty, and she's done. In order to get the panels on, I'm going to go ahead and join these guys together already, and that's what those braces are for, not only for rigidity, but so you have somewhere you can drive a screw through if you're trying to hit a stud in the wall, or you're trying to combine 2 cabinets to each other. I cut the boxes of these cabinets in a way that the face frame would have a 3/4 inch overhang on each side, so that when I build the panels will die into those face frames and make one solid side piece, as seen in the plans here. Building the panels was quick and easy because it's only 4 pieces, but because we want it to blend really well, we're going to take our router, route out the inside of that panel, and add a piece of 1/4 inch MDF in there so that you don't see the big seam in between the 2 cabinets that we've screwed together. After that, a lot of glue, staples, putty, and sanding, and this guy is almost finished. Now it's on to the paint booth. And I'm sure you're wondering, what color are you going to do? What color are you going with? No fancy Behr or Sherwin-Williams colors to mention here. Just the classic white because it is timeless. I thought about deleting this footage because who wants to see me rip out the old island? That's kind of lame. But I do want to brag on myself and say that number 1, I did this barefooted, which makes me an absolute man. And number 2, I sold this island for 75 bucks on Facebook Marketplace. So somebody paid me to take my trash away. One trip to Home Depot and $400 later, I've got this very large slab of butcher block. I'm going to chop it down with my Kreg track saw, and then I'm gonna mount it to the island that I built. After cutting this thing to size, I quickly sanded it up and made it nice and smooth on all sides. Tested to make sure it looked good on top of the island, and then took it back outside. My wife coated it with some poly. We sanded it, coated it again, sanded it, coated it again, and it had a nice glossy finish. And now maybe earlier on in the video you said, man, why are there so many braces in these cabinets? These braces are super useful when you're doing something like butcher block. You can screw right up and through them into the butcher block, and this thing will never move and never go anywhere. I know for sure I'm going to get this question, so I'll address it already. We're not attaching it to the floor right now, and that's because we have some tiles that we need to fix that as the house shifted, they cracked a little bit. So just securing it to the floor would make removing those tiles a little bit more difficult, so we're going to wait to do that. After the countertop came doors and drawers, which I made off camera, and then installed with the help of my new apprentice. Yeah. Listen, the amount of Craig products used in this video, I better be getting a paycheck. Just kidding, I just love every single thing that I featured in this video, and that's why I'm using it. This is the Craig cabinet hardware jig. It makes entering your handles and knobs super, super easy and very, very consistent. For doorknobs, we got these 1 3/16 matte black round modern knobs. And for drawer pulls, we got these square bar 3 3/4 matte black square pulls. Both have a modern look that don't distract too much from our simple shaker island design. And of course, you know, quality assurance, making sure I was doing everything right. He approves. We did it. All done. Good job, buddy. I used this quarter round around the entire perimeter of the cabinet to make it blend in really well with the floor. And then after filling the nail holes, I did my best impression of Bob Ross and gently touched up the paint. After that, all that was left to do was sit back and drool over how beautiful this island came out. Now, I am fully aware that I'm not the best at explaining things, and sometimes I hope that my visuals will carry me across the finish line, but in the case that they didn't, I've made written plans for this build, and you can find those at craigtool.com under their plans section. I'll have that link for you in the description. We've already filled it up with all of the educational stuff that we're going to use to homeschool our kids. We're really excited for all of the memories that will be made here around this island, and we've already spent a ton of time around it as a family. Thank you guys for watching. If you got anything out of this video, I would really appreciate it if you just hit that subscribe button or maybe like the video. That way it can proliferate all over the internet and I'll get famous and be able to quit my job as a cabinet maker and just be rich and buy a bunch of cars and a bunch of woodworking tools. In the future, the goal is to change the backsplash, change the countertops, and reface all of the cabinets. So if you're interested in anything like that, like I said before, hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. If you watched this video and thought to yourself, man, that was so good, how can I give this guy money to repay him? Then you're in luck. I have a lot of stuff listed on my Etsy store that you can buy to support the channel, so head on over to reformationwoodshop.etsy.com to grab something.